Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the report for 5/18. I'm going to start off by congratulating Mateo and Ian from the San Joaquin Bassmasters. They recently participated in the high school state championships here on the Delta last weekend. They won the tournament. They had a weight of 19.26 pounds with a 7.42 kicker. Great job, guys. I know you guys fished in some tough competition. By winning this tournament, they qualified themselves to go back east and fish in the national championships in Mississippi. So we're going to keep an eye on these guys. Next week, I'm going to be interviewing Mateo and Ian, and they'll tell us how they caught those fish and their keys to success. I also want to hit Nate and Jax up from the Delta Saints. They've already qualified for the national tournament. And, you know, local Delta Rats, we've got two teams that are going to be representing us in the national finals back in Mississippi. Let's all root for them, give them some good karma, and you know, maybe we'll have a national champion, a high school national champion this year coming out of the Delta. So with that, let's get into the report. And it's stabilizing out here. The striper fishing is really good. The largemouth bass fishing is holding steady. I wouldn't say it got any better last week. It's kind of holding steady, but the thing of it is water conditions out here are starting to stabilize, especially water temperature. So let's go over the water conditions, and we'll talk about stripers and largemouth bass. Water clarity is still all over the board. I'm talking to my buddy Cam. He's fishing down south, and he's still getting 2 feet of visibility. If he gets into a back of a slough or a flooded island, he's getting a better visibility out there. But by and large, you know, if you go, I'll say south of Disco Bay, you know, down around Grant Line and there, you're going to find oddball visibilities. As you get up into the central delta, it's leveling out into that 3 to 4 feet of visibility, maybe even 5 feet of visibility. I've had some pretty good visibility out in Mildred and some of the flooded islands that I have been fishing. But again, it's kind of, you know, the tinge of water is still different in different areas, that green or that brownish tinge. Now, I'm staying in the green water. I know out north around Liberty and the Sacramento River, it's starting to stabilize. Temperatures are what's really kind of interesting and exciting, because they're starting to stabilize around that 70-degree temperature. I suspect by this weekend, if you guys come out, you're going to see 68 to 72-degree temps, and I think they're going to stay that way. The last few weeks, we've touched up there, and then a cold front comes in, it drops the temperature. I see clear weather for the next week to 2 weeks, and hopefully we are in a summertime situation, and that's what it's really going to take. As soon as the weather stabilizes, I think the fish are going to go on a really good bite. So with that, let's talk about stripers. I talked with Jeff Suhu a day or two ago, and Jeff has had another great week. He's catching a lot of fish. The size of the fish is not quite what it was last week. Last week he was getting a lot of double-digit fish up to 13, 14 pounds. There's fewer double-digit fish, but there's a ton of fish in the system, and he's still going through about 50 live baits before noon, and that's when he'll start turning around and start doing some jigging. And I wanted a little nugget from Jeff that I can pass on to you guys, and this comes from Jeff when it comes to fishing for stripers around sea lines. And I asked Jeff, do you stay in that spot if you're catching fish, you see the sea lines come in, do you automatically move, or what do you do? Jeff does not move. Especially this year, there's a lot of fish in the system, but he says they're localized to certain areas. So once you find fish, it's a good idea to stay on those fish. If the sea lions come in and they scatter the school, that school of bass is going to, they're going to find each other, and they're going to re-school up. So what Jeff does is he stays in that area where he's catching the fish. He'll look where the currents are. He'll find where he thinks that school is going to relocate, and he'll try to stay in that same area and fish that same school. He doesn't leave just because the sea lions are in. So think about that, guys. I know a lot of guys say, well, I'm catching fish, as soon as the sea lions come in, I leave. Jeff doesn't do that. Now, Jeff is going to be expanding his season, and for you guys that want to really learn how to locate bass and go about a day's fishing and be more productive, Jeff is a great guide to take out. Check out Jeff Suhu at Suhu Sport Fishing. You know, you pay a little money to go out with him one time, but the benefit you get will last you for the rest of your life. That's Jeff's situation for the stripers. I know all the people around Paradise Point have had fish when they're coming in. I've been seeing a lot of guys at the ramp. They're doing well. They're not getting 30 or 40 fish a day, but they all seem to be getting limits or near limits, drifting live bait, primarily bluegill. I know a lot of guys I'm seeing down around the flooded islands, the outsides, they're trolling, they're catching fish. I've seen them net a few fish. Talked to Alan Fong up north, Cloutier area, Feather River. You know the area I'm talking about for you guys that are looking for trophy fish. They're up there right now. There are some big monster stripers up there. You can catch the fish of a lifetime. If you know the area, now is the time to get up there and start putting a bait in the water. With that, you know, if you're a striper guy, now is the time to be out here. They're in the system and they're biting. Largemouth bass. Depends on who you talk to. I know last week's Wednesday nighter had a horrible weight. I think they had 11 or 13 pounds, something like that, won the tournament. Only 7 or 8 guys weighed in. Had a tough tournament, but you know, they're fishing a short day. They probably hit a bad tide and just didn't produce for them. The bite that I have been getting reports on has been pretty steady. Not great, but everybody seems to be catching fish. The oddball thing about the bass is the techniques are all over the board. There are some people catching them on crankbaits. There are some people catching them on chatterbaits. The frog bite is coming on. I talked to my buddy Kenny Bang. Kenny has been working the banks. He's boatless. He's moving around in his car. Anytime he finds duckweed, he pulls out his frog, and he's been doing very well. Most of his fish are coming from about 5:30 till dark. After work, he gets out and runs the bank, and he's been doing very well. So there is a frog bite, and I know there is a slight topwater bite for the change of light in the morning, change of light in the evening. I'm going to talk about what I've been doing, and I guess I can say I've been successful for the last couple of weeks, and because I had such a tough winter, I'm not varying from what I'm doing. Now, I did technique-wise and what I'm using for bait. So I'm staying with my technique, the technique that I'll be talking about right now, until that thing runs out. And I think my technique is going to last through the summer as long as conditions allow it. So I have been up north a few days, launching out of Hogback and going up, you know, all the tributaries to the Sacramento River up around Lindsay, and I've been in the Central Delta, primarily fishing flooded islands in the backs of sloughs in the Central Delta. So I said there's a lot of people that when the visibility is right, they are starting to see more and more spawning bass on the beds. I'm not seeing that, but I am catching fish that looks like the females are you know, starting to get really close to spawn. The males, you know, are getting beat up a little bit from digging beds and things. So I'm really starting to see the spawn get closer and closer. What have I been doing? Number one, I've been looking for areas that aren't affected by water changing temperature or water changing clarity. These are the flooded islands, the backs of sloughs, and in particular, when I get in these areas, I'm going deep into the tules or deep into the cover. I'm not punching, and there's a very fine difference. Flipping or punching, to me, I'm punching surface vegetation. Flipping, I'm flipping into tules and trees and shrubs and things like that. That's what I'm doing. A 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce with a, I'm primarily throwing creature baits, anything that looks like a crawdad. Brush hogs are doing really well, all crawdad colors from reds to green pumpkins, oranges. I'm throwing rodents, I'm throwing D-bombs. I don't think it makes a difference what you're using, but you've got to get it deep in the cover, and the deeper in the cover, the less it's affected by water temperatures because it doesn't get as much current. So you have more stable water temperatures, and you also have in the backs of these little areas, they're protected from currents, cold water currents coming or, you know, changing or fluctuating the temperature of the water. So that's what I've been doing, and it's working for me. Pitch it in there, hold on, jiggle around a couple of times, and the fish seem to be bigger fish that are holding back there, and it's been a lot of fun. I would suggest trying that technique if you come out here. I don't care if you were on the Central Delta or the North Delta. My better fishing has focused around high tide. As the tide bottoms out, I become less and less effective, but I'm getting enough fish in that time frame that it's been making me really happy. So take that into consideration. I want to thank you guys for watching. I am going to go take a little trip the next few days. I will be back for next week's report, but I'm going to head up to a Clearwater lake that I hear there's some good bass fishing in. I've never been to this lake. We're going to film up there, and we're going to see if a guy from the Delta that's used to fishing in 2 feet of visibility can catch fish in 20 or 30 visibility. We'll have a video, hopefully, if we catch a few fish on that coming up in the next week or so. Until then, I want to thank all you guys for watching. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure if you see me out here, come by and say hi. And if not, next week I'll see you guys on the water.